It's insane to know that beaches in Spain are being invaded. It's been happening for over half a decade, but finally, regular residents are fighting back, as this footage from Grenada shows a boat casually dropping off about a dozen military-aged men to swim ashore. But then, random citizens successfully detained some of them.
The beachgoer in swimming trunks pinning one man down while he appears to beg to be let go. 13 men, believed to be of Moroccan origin, are believed to have jumped out of the boat. Those on the boat are captured diving into the water in front of stunned holidaymakers and locals before attempting to make a run for it.
With the UK sun covering what they called a small boat brawl, as a boat landed at about 2 in the afternoon, with the locals tackling some of the migrants, and the authorities later arresting the unknown invaders, which reminds them of their story last year in August, where their article reported on the same exact thing minus the citizen arrests, not to be mistaken with the other boat landing seen on social media about a month before that, or the other landing that occurred before that, as somebody is supplying them with cell phones once they arrive. Or how allegedly, once they sneak into Spain's Canary Islands, someone is flying them into the mainland of Europe. So no wonder when we covered this same exact scenario over 2 years ago, nothing seems to have stopped this constant invasion of their beaches. As this was reportedly from 2023. And this is allegedly from 2017.
Ya que me muero.
Now, I'm not saying Spain should start sinking these ships, but you'd think they'd be doing something to at least deter this, as a single Spanish shore in a single day can see 5 boats of 20 unknown military-age males each. You don't even have to be anti-immigration to know if someone is so desperate to skip the legal vetting process that they're willing to take a 170-mile boat ride on a tiny ship with nothing but swim trunks and a t-shirt. They might not be the type of people you want in your country, and despite the mainstream media ignoring this, the Spanish citizens are starting to notice. As being in America, you might not even know, there were recently massive immigration protests all across Spain. But if you looked at the mainstream media in English, they called it disinformation, fueling far-right groups and anti-migrant violence. Where when you read the BBC's report of the 14 arrested in anti-migrant riots, you gotta scroll all the way down to finally find out it was over a 68-year-old Spanish man that was brutally beaten during his morning walk. With apparently no motive, they didn't even rob him, but definitely didn't speak Spanish. So it starts to make sense when the Spanish citizens take to the streets over the unlimited, unchecked immigration they've witnessed for years, where they believe the authorities have failed their people.
¡Esto es España! ¡Esto es España! ¡Aquí, protegiéndolo! ¡Protegiéndolo! ¡Protegiéndolo! ¡Que vienen a reírse encima de todos nosotros! ¡No es inmigración! ¡Es una invasión! ¡No es inmigración! ¡Es una invasión!
And it wasn't just the police, they were also angry at their local media outlets. It's just interesting how globally we all seem to be experiencing the same issues simultaneously, let it be America, Ireland, Spain, or even Japan, as if it was somehow part of a grand global conspiracy. And as much as I despise the local mainstream media in America, Spain's may be worse. As obviously I don't speak Spanish, so I can't completely confirm this, but it is to my understanding that they were also angry about a girl being burned by her alleged boyfriend, with only small outlets reporting on the 20-year-old boy that set fire to the girl, as several outlets went into this narrative of gender-based violence attack, where it's such a bizarre phrasing it might just be due to the automated translations. But it was shockingly difficult to get to the bottom of the story, as the 20-year-old was supposed to be deported but somehow did not, with a horrifying crime like justice system fails to protect girl in foster care from a man illegally here who then burned 95% of her body. You'd think this would not only be national news, but the entire continent of Europe should be alarmed over what occurred. But the simple fact that I had to piece together 4 random tiny publications to even get a semblance of what's actually happening just reminds you of how dire free speech is in Europe. As you also may be unaware, but the UK is also having massive protests over immigration. To which the Daily Mail frames as anti-migrant protesters clashing with anti-racism protesters. With that type of framing, no wonder nobody trusts the mainstream media anymore, as they're desperate to contain why the citizens may be angry, just so when regular residents react to these heinous crimes, nobody knows why, so the news can simply frame them as far-right racists. As I've been covering the opposite of this in America with the pro-immigration protests all across California back in June, where there was plenty of media lies to comb through and expose, as even LA's conservative outlets tried to claim these were fiery but mostly peaceful Molotov cocktails. And obviously, if you're watching this, you're not falling for their nonsense, but sadly, even today, while I was eating lunch at a restaurant, I overheard this girl talking to her family about how Trump is now kidnapping asylum seekers at their jobs, sending them to whatever country he wants, and how evil this is, as basically she could recite every single AOC talking point, but literally had zero comprehension of what she was so proudly preaching, which is eerily similar to what we just witnessed in Spain, as a majority of everybody would likely be on the same side of this situation if it wasn't for the corporate news actively misleading you from the truth. Once again reminding us, no matter how much you hate the mainstream media, you don't hate them enough. So if you appreciate my concise, sometimes lighthearted commentary on the tragic status that is today's reality, subscribe to Decoy Voice.